Again, we have Brad Nelson on your left and Douglas McKay on your right.
Brad Nelson was the 2010 Player of the Year.
He was.
It's a very hard title to get. I first met Brad in this convention center in Baltimore.
Really?
Nationals in 2007? 2007.
So Douglas starts off with a Blackleaf Cliffs. Brad before his land plays a Gitaxian Probe. And he's writing down Douglas's hand. And it looks like I can see a Tezzeret's Gambit, a Plains, another Gambit, I think. Is that an Isolated Chapel? Yeah. And now that he's on his card, he's going to decide which land to plays. And that is a Seachrome Coast into a Delver. So pretty much the best start you can hope for Brad.
That's
now
pretty good.
He's playing a Pike version, right, with Sword of War and Peace?
He is.
All right. Yeah, this is the most common Delver split here. It's the two Pikes, 2 Swords.
I agree with that split.
Yeah, I do too. I think Douglas just played a land that passed. Looks like Brad did not flip. Also, Brad playing a foil Delver there. It's a nice touch.
Foil on both sides?
Yeah. He plays his second land. I imagine he'll attack for 1. Now, did Douglas have a Lingering Souls in his hand?
I believe he did.
All right. So
Brad does have a Mana Leak in hand, but that's still pretty bad. I think he might just want to jam an Invisible Stalker here.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad plan. I mean, you're gonna the Lingering Souls. You can't counterspell both ends of it. Now maybe he has another card to deal with it the second half of it. Like again, Lingering Souls is really hard for Delver to deal with.
Yeah, and he doesn't have many. I don't know if he knows much about Douglas's deck, but
yeah. But flipping the Delver here is big. He'll be able to with a Mana Leak, so he can actually stop the Lingering Souls on the way back. And it's weird to think that like 2 Mana Leaks against one deck is like against one card is like good, but if you are playing Delver, like you feel pretty good if you get away with just 2 Mana Leaks against the Lingering Souls. But it's just how powerful that card is. It's a Ponder for Brad, who puts 3 on top and plays another Delver.
And that Delver is going to reveal a Gitaxian Probe, which will flip it next turn. And the Gitaxian Probe is going to draw him into another Delver.
Wow. So, Douglas McKay looking for a Wrath of God here. Or Day of Judgment.
He does have 2 days.
Does have 2 days.
So. Sorry, we can call Day of Judgment Wrath of God.
I keep calling it Wrath. It's been hard-coded in my brain.
I do the same thing. I can't help it.
And Douglas follows up with a Tezzeret's Gambit.
Tezzeret's Gambit, right now, Divination. He's paying 2 life. Don't really want to pay 2 life when your opponent has a pair of 3-power flyers in play.
Yep. Now he might have. Oh, he had Galvanic Blast does take out one of the Delvers. He may have been concerned about just playing the Lingering Souls flashback because if Brad has a Vapor Snack or something, then that will actually trade for the rest of his Lingering Souls. But Douglas takes 3 instead. Looks like Brad still doesn't have another land, so he has to choose whether or not he. Oh, maybe he does have a land.
I don't think so. And the Probe's not going to draw him into a land either. The Probe is just going to give him another Delver. And if he wants to leave mana untapped, which he may, then there's really no reason to probe into that extra Delver. Like, you can get more information with the Probe. You're not going to draw in anything you need. You know there's a Delver on top. You want to leave 2 mana open.
And you're right, he probably has no idea what Douglas's deck does. He needs to be careful that, tapping out, who knows what's going to happen if he taps out. Plenty of things that are going to completely wreck him in the format. And this is certainly not a deck that, he probably has a good idea of what's in it. It's like Douglas is reading something. Curse of Death's Hold. An amazing card against Delver. So Brad is going to Mana Leak it. That is
to be expected.
Yeah, that's one of those cards that will lock up the game if it's sort of left to its own devices. And so it looks like we have a Tezzeret's Gambit, wow, a Liliana, and a Chandra. And is that a Ghost Quarter?
What do these cards do?
Man, these are just powerful cards.
They are powerful cards. This is hard to deal with.
Yeah,
And next turn he can cast the Liliana and then +1 it, and then Tezzeret's Gambit it, and then, you know, a turn and a half later, depending on what he draws, he's anywhere from 1 to 2 turns later, he's ultimating a Liliana already.
There are some decks that rely on, like, finesse to, like, Delver's kind of a finesse deck.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and there are some decks where you just mash power level. And that is what Douglas McKay's deck is. I'm going to play powerful cards, and you're going to die. So it's like Brad...
I can appreciate that.
Brad is going to... I mean, he's got to play another Delver here. He knows if he doesn't have another counterspell, that Liliana is going to hit the table. It's going to eat the foiled Delver, probably. You can't see what's in Brad's hand, but this has to be a little bit scary. Doug's deck is just, you know, those cards are just so powerful against Brad's deck. And it looks like there's not another. Is there another? Imagine he'll play the Ghost Quarter, so he's safe from Mana Leak. Yep, there's Liliana.
Now, Brad does have another Mana Leak, which is unlikely.
Right.
He's probably just going to counter the Gambit post Liliana activation.
And again, this is standard, not Legacy. It does say Legacy round 1, but just so you know, wondering where the lines of diamonds are.
These are some interesting Legacy decks.
Yep. So, and as expected, Liliana goes down to 1. Douglas, I do not think, has a way to immediately deal with the other Delver. So that will, I imagine, take out Liliana to prevent Tezzeret's Gambit from getting her back up to 2 and then re-killing it.
Now, if you're Douglas here, I think you're supposed to use the Gambit, and it's scary because you're putting yourself to 6 and your opponent is a 3-power guy in play. But by using the Gambit, you force your opponent to attack Liliana anyway, so it doesn't, you know, change your clock unless you draw 2 cards, and you know, you just want to power as much action as possible. You don't want to have to spend, not next turn, but the turn after. You don't want to have to spend that turn, you know, tapping all your mana to cast the Tezzeret's Gambit instead of casting a big spell.
Right.
And he doesn't have blue mana anyway. He just needs to, you know, pay that 2 life.
Right. And so, I mean, is Douglas just still thinking about what to play, or is it on Brad now?
I'm not sure.
There's not a whole lot Brad can do end of turn anyway.
Brad does have Gut Shot, actually, so if Douglas...
Oh, yeah. He's going to... Is he wanting Douglas, or is he killing Liliana?
No, he's
Oh, yeah, he's killing Liliana, yeah. Oh, and a Snapcaster to rebuy that Gut Shot.
And then 7.
All of a sudden 6, so all of a sudden Douglas is going to be at 1 life after this attack.
Yep.
And does Brad have another...
A Snapcaster Gut Shot?
Okay.
Or, I mean, he already Snapcasted the Gut Shot,
right.
So... Now he's just like a Vapor Snag away from killing his opponent.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he has that in his hand or a Gut Shot in hand, otherwise he wouldn't have made the play.
Right, so... And I mean, at this point he can just wait as long as he wants to. I mean, yeah, if he gets Wrath of God here, okay. I mean, you're at 1 life. At some point, you're gonna something's gonna happen. And yeah, and Douglas packs it in. Did not have the Wrath of God.
Well played by Brad there.
Very well played.
Whenever we watch Brad play, he usually plays pretty tight. That might have something to do with the Player of the Year thing.
A title which no longer exists.
Isn't that strange?
It is strange. Owen Turtenwald is the last Player of the Year.
He did it in a pretty cool fashion, too. He didn't top 8 a Pro Tour.
Nope. Yeah, so Brad Nelson, 2010 Player of the Year. Top 4 U.S. Nationals 2009, top 4 Grand Prix Minneapolis, winner of Grand Prix DC, top 8 Pro Tour San Juan, top 8 Grand Prix Columbus, top 8 U.S. Nationals, finalist at Pro Tour Amsterdam, and a finalist at Grand Prix Toronto in 2010. That is a year.
That is a really good year. So at San Juan in 2010, he comes up to me the night before the Pro Tour, and he's like, Jake, can I have your deck? I hate my deck. I really want your deck. Can you please give me your deck? And I, went, had to talk to a million people to ask if it was okay if I gave him our deck. Finally, we gave him our deck. He top 8'd the Pro Tour, but then 2 people playing the deck he was supposed to play also top 8'd the Pro Tour.
So he was in a good position no matter what. All right. But yeah, I mean, like, if I could have 1 year of Magic half as good as his, you know, and that was it. I would never copy. I would never win another match. I'd be like, oh, that might be a good deal.
There was a lot of interesting stuff happening for him in that year also.
Yeah.
I don't know. He made 8th on Breakers in Grand Prix. I think I twice that year.
And
one time it was because somebody got DQ'd.
Because Drew Levin got DQ'd going to top 8. Over the
Pretty unreal.
Yeah, that was a crazy year. Now, looking at sideboards real quickly, you know, Douglas again. He's got whip flares. He's got timely reinforcements he might bring in. He's got revoke existences if he wants to deal with all those equipments. You know, he has a lot to do in this matchup. Again, his deck seems to be just like jamming powerful spells, and he gets to bring in more of them. Brad has a little less. Because he's again more of a finesse deck, doesn't have quite as powerful a sideboard, but he still has a lot of stuff he can bring in here. You know, he has Celestial Purge. Will deal with Liliana if he's that concerned about it.
Yeah, I think Celestial Purge also deals with like the curse, and I'm sure he's going to bring that in.
Yeah.
Just in general, you're playing as this weird black, red, white deck.
Right. Sword of Feast and Famine probably replaces War and Peace here. You know, that ability to make your opponent discard a card when your opponent is so heavily just on playing powerful cards is very, very good.
You also probably want to bring in a more land taunt here.
Yeah.
And just, I wouldn't replace a different land with it. I would.
Right. And you can probably take out some of his creature removal for another Dissipate, and just really try to focus on getting an early creature out and then just protecting it throughout the whole match.
And he's definitely taking out the gut shots.
Yeah.
He's not in the zap plan.
Gut shot's not working out so well here. Though he has to be going into this. He has to believe that these Vapor Snags too are not very good. And so which one? The question is kind of like which one is worse.
I mean, I'd never hate Vapor Snag. You just bounce your Snapcaster mages.
I guess. This is one of those.
Save a Delver.
Yeah.
You can kind of cut both. Like you've.
Yeah, because I think you want to cut some number of both, and it's just a question of like working out the mix. Like, do I go down to, like, 2 Vapor Snag, 1 Gut Shot, just in case I can, like... Because the Gut Shot is going to have the incidental value of killing Planeswalkers. Or do I just, like, go down to, like, 2 Vapor Snags, and... Or do I, put in more Gut Shots and Vapor Snags? And, it's got to be just what he's thinking of right now is, what mix of these do I take out? Because I just don't have enough cards to bring in to take out all of them.
I mean, so he has Negate, Dissipate, Purge, so it's 6 that he's probably going to bring in. Moorland Haunt, 7. They're probably taking out if we say he's just taking out Snag and Gut Shot, that's just straight swap, but then can't really do that because your instant count's pretty miserable for your
That's
Delvers.
That's true.
Your instant sorcery count.
I think the sort of War and Peace has probably come out for the Feast and Famines.
That makes sense.
I mean, neither one is bad, but I think I'd rather be hitting with a Feast and Famine personally.
Yeah, War and Peace is... War and Peace can just kill people, though.
It can.
Especially if he's on... I mean, War and Peace is probably better on the play here.
Right.
I mean, you can continue attacking him even when he has the Planeswalker in play. You can just use the trigger. The other thing is that the War and Peace is going to be dealing a lot of damage against Douglas, whose deck is chock full of all these things that cost infinity mana.
And I guess it does get around Lingering Souls better than War and Peace does, or than Feast and Famine does. But the Feast and Famine ability is much more impressive.
Oh yeah, definitely way more impressive in this matchup.
We'll see which ones he decided to, are better in this. Usually the matchups are much more clear cut about which one you want to have, but.
I mean, Douglas is playing red and white.
Right, he is, but he's also playing black. And and Brad Mulligan's. Delver is a deck that will admittedly mulligan very well.
Yes.
Sometimes when you're playing Magic, there are these decks that you love and you're playing it and like, this is the most powerful deck ever. But then every time you mulligan, you just can't possibly win. Tempered Steel has a big problem with mulliganing, for instance. Affinity.
Huge problem.
Yeah, a big, because you need to get 3 artifacts. And if you don't have 3 artifacts, your deck's not very good. And like, going down to 6 makes that much harder. But Delver, if you go turn 1 Delver and then you have all these cantrips, that pretty soon you just make up for it.
There are some decks that really just can't exist because of how poorly they mulligan.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of decks like that. when you're testing them, they just do so well. And then you go to a tournament and you realize it's because when you're testing, like you don't really consider the matches where you mulligan a lot in matches because nothing happened. You were just like draw, mulligan, whatever. I'm just gonna start a new match and draw 7. Where like if every time you had to mulligan twice and then you lost, you had to sit in the corner for an hour, I think you'd figure out much quicker, which decks need to have big problems with mulliganing. All right, so Brad leads off with a Delver. Douglas already has a Evolving Wilds, which was at least for me, like one of the most important cards in Dark Ascension.
Oh, definitely. Just making the mana better. The mana was actually getting questionable there for a second.
Yeah, you were going to be on the a bunch of plains, a bunch of mountains, or a bunch of plains, a bunch of swamps, and then like 4 isolated chapels for black-white decks, and going from having 4 dual lands to 8 dual lands is a complete huge difference. So again, Douglas got a plains, follows up with a Blackleaf Cliffs.
I don't think this deck has 2 drops. This deck only plays like 5 drops.
Now, when those Scars lands came out, did you realize how good they were going to be?
Yes, I thought they were insane. I thought they were going to be better than they ended up being. I was like, oh my god, they're dual lands. So on turns 1 through 3, they're dual lands.
Yep. And so Brad again didn't flip his Delver. He's still just a 1/1 human, looking to do some wizardry, but not yet an insect. O-Ring comes down from Douglas. Brad has a negate for that. And he's going to once again try to flip this thing. And Celestial Purge, and the Delver becomes an insect.
Still a human, but
he is still
also
human.
An insect.
He is an abomination of nature.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
He even has a little face on it.
He does, yeah.
I appreciate that.
He tried to play with things that were out of his realm. Now, Eric Klug is one of the alters here. He actually has one of these that's only altered on the insect side, like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it looks normal, and then you flip it over, and it's got all the, it's an altered card. It's very nice. And again, Flip Delver is a much faster clock than normal Delver. So Douglas now is, he's got to do something. This is a Lingering Souls. It's not. It's a Red Sun Zenith for 2. One of the problems with fireballs and such is that you often don't want to play them early, but Red Sun Zenith shuffles back in, so he's got 2 of them, and so he can feel free to just use this as target removal 1 for 1, because eventually, the idea is that Brad's going to run out of creatures, and he's just going to keep drawing these Zeniths. Looks like Brad might have a Dissipate for this if he wants to go that far against dealing with it.
I think he will.
Yeah.
So, if he hits a 4th land, I think he has a Snapcaster in hand, and then he has Snapcaster negate. And is that a Glacial Fortress or a Seachrome Coast?
I think it was a Seachrome Coast.
And that makes a difference.
Yep. And Seachrome Coast comes in tap. Now, this gives Douglas an opportunity that if he has a Whip Flare or if he has Wrath of God.
Day, Whip
Day of
Flare,
Judgment, yeah.
Anything like that.
This is going to really put...
I think he does.
Yeah, I have to imagine he does. I can imagine him keeping a hand that doesn't have that. Yep, Whip Flare. And, in the end, Brad, it's hard to tell what this deck is going to be playing in it. And, it's easy to play against Whip Flare in the red-green decks, but you have to know that this deck's going to have it in the sideboard. And it did. Oh, and another Geist. It's going to put... Geist seems like a hard card for Douglas to deal with, barring these Wrath of God effects.
Brad really wants a Moorland Haunt.
Yes, if Brad can get that.
Douglas's deck has a lot of trouble beating a Moorland Haunt. For a deck that has so much anti-creature stuff.
Yeah, because all this creature stuff, costs a spell, and so if you have to keep doing that, and maybe if you get out Chandra, the Firebrand, you can sort of stem the bleeding by only keeping them. They only ever have 1 Moorland Haunt token in play at a time, but and the hexproof guys, for a deck that plays so much target removal, hexproof is a problem. Now, he does have Ghost Quarters to help deal with that, so... Chandra the Firebrand. Looks like he's wanting Brad. Going up to 4, but, 4 is the size of an angel.
Yep.
So we'll see if Brad takes the Angel after Chandra. And then if Douglas has a way to stop that. And I don't think that he has any 2-mana rule spells to deal with that. Ooh, and a War and Peace. Opted to keep those in. That is going to be 1 dead Chandra.
Angel's going at Chandra. Geist going at Douglas. Geist hitting for 6 with the trigger.
How many cards? Douglas doesn't have a whole lot of cards in his hand, so he's not going to take a lot from the sword, but he is, looks like...
He's getting on to 7, I think?
7, yeah. That seems right. So he's got to have a Day of Judgment here.
He may have 1 or more cards in his hand. Okay, 7. That was nice.
There's not a whole lot else that can stop this. Yep, and he has the Day. So we're now down to Brad with now up to 2 cards, and Douglas down to 1. But it looks like Brad has a Snapcaster, which is going to make all the difference here. And the Blood Hall does not hit creatures.
Brad even has Snapcaster Dissipate in hand, so...
So yeah, he just gets to play the waiting game for a while.
Oh,
and there's a Haunt.
That's it.
Now I think that Douglas does have a Ghost Quarter, if I remember. So he can deal with a Moreland Haunt. I personally would have done it right then, rather than waiting.
Yeah, you get to deal with it at sorcery speed and everything. Yeah. And now we have... we get to watch the battle of Stensia Blood Hall versus Moreland Haunt. We'll see who wins that one.
I'm going to vote for the Moreland Haunt.
As am I. It costs less mana to activate, too.
I'm just going to make a token.
It's so weird they always, like, really push it with the blue-white stuff. You know, like, they just print this terrible red-black land, like always. The blue-white one's just awesome.
Well, I feel like no one ever plays blue-white. We can go as far as we need to.
You know?
Yeah. The legacy of Randy Bueller at Wizards R&D. So, yep, gets a Spirit. Now, if Douglas has another Chandra, that'd be pretty good right now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't actually, because Brad would
Snapcaster leaked.
And or negate it. But, oh, what timely reinforcements.
That's not bad.
That is not bad. Now, he can Snapcaster negate it, which I think is, barring something else from Douglas, might just be enough to take the game. Oh, it should be enough to take the game.
If Douglas can't play either of his cards...
Yeah, if he can't, then that's...
dead. If he can only play 1,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. So Brad Nelson is going to equip the sword, come in, and get Xaxes.
That's going to be it. 3 + 5 + 2.
Yep.
Goes 7.
Doing the math.
Got it.
Thinking about it. Oh, does he have? He might have something here. Oh.
All right,
Galvanic Blast keeps him alive.
Douglas at 2.
Yep. And Brad probably just passes here. I don't think that, unless he has a Moreland Haunt or something, there's just no reason to open yourself up any further. Does he have another Snapcaster too?
Oh, no, I think that was his yard. That would be ridiculous.
No, I thought he was looking through his yard just to do a quick Snapcaster update.
Oh, maybe he does.
Oh, and there goes the handshake.
Huh. That's it.
Brad Nelson wins the first round, 2-0 against Douglas McKay.
Well done, Brad.
Yeah.